Hi. So, I'm going to title this video, What is Happening in 2021? And let me just give you a disclaimer. I don't know for sure that this is what is happening, but I'm going to give you an idealistic view of what's currently happening here in October of 2021. We've got a progressive proposal that's expensive. It's expensive. It's like $3.5 trillion. They're trying to winnow it down whatever way they can to get it to pass. There's a lot of opposition for it. Now, the optimistic view of this thing is that it has a lot of stuff in it that will help working class, from everything from child care, health care, for retirees, there'll be some health care things in there. There's a lot of things that are supposed to benefit the working class. And one of the ideas behind it is that the wealthy will pay for it. The increase in taxes on the wealthy will pay for it. Okay, like I said, this is an optimistic view. You can argue for or against however you want. However, at the same time, we see a lot of opposition, a lot. And one of the loudest oppositions out there is Donald Trump. Now, in the beginning, when Trump ran and got elected, I took a rather harsh view of him. I always thought of him as just sort of your exceptional con man. But I think that's, like I said, I think that's too harsh. What I think Donald Trump really is a smart guy who was given a mandate by his father. The mandate was, all that matters is the brand. The brand, the brand, the brand. That's how you sell. That's how you market. That's how you make it. That's the key to success. And if that is true, then you can't claim to be a bigger winner than Donald Trump. That man, if that was the goal, has succeeded in more ways than I can even think were possible before. He's won. He has sold the brand 100%. People will never know about his father except for having known about the son. That's how successful he was. If the goal in our society is that the children surpass the parents, then you've won, sir. Now, granted, he's done it in an environment where information is everywhere, and exposure is something that happens by accidents half the time nowadays. So maybe his father would have been a bigger success, but either way, you cannot fault the man for winning that fight. That was a struggle he just kicked the crap out of. But if the opposition is truly in there to oppose something that is actually good for society, then what we're watching is the right fighting against the left for something that helps all workers, and they're getting half of the workers to argue against it. Like I said, this is an optimistic view, believe it or not, and it may not be accurate. What I'm going to say now is that a very big mistake has been made, because if I'm completely wrong about this view, then we have been shown a model that should be true. You know, if both sides are just in it, there's an argument to be made that neither side really has ideals anymore, that they both have their avenue to get their bigger bites at the trough. There's an argument to be made that is accurate, that political power is just you do and say and believe what you do in order to gain access to more power and wealth. Memetics, the study of memetics tells us that will happen naturally. We don't need conspiracy theories for that to happen. We don't even need conscious effort for that to happen. It will happen naturally. One of the reasons, also right now, there's a Facebook scandal going on. One of the reasons that Congress doesn't have any idea what to do with something like Facebook is that they don't understand that, memetically speaking, these things will happen naturally. We, as human beings, will do this to ourselves. An algorithm All an algorithm does is make it easier for us to do to ourselves. It gives us less resistance. And as humans, memetically speaking, if you give us a way to get what we want with less resistance, with less effort, we will go that route. We don't need you to have a conspiracy. We'll do it to ourselves. Anybody that wants to give oversight to something like a Facebook, to social media, has to understand that first. There doesn't have to be some corruption. There doesn't have to be some conspiracy. We'll do it all on our own. It doesn't say that, it's not to say that there isn't conspiracy or corruption. That's just to say that we don't need it to be. All conspiracy, corruption, and algorithms do is make it easier for us. So the mistake is, now we have been shown something that should happen. Even if I'm wrong about what is being done and how it is being opposed, then the next logical step, 10, 20 years from now, or even in the next election cycle, is to actually do it. To put in place bills that actually do what they're advertising. And when the resistance comes, if the bills are legitimately what we are looking for or what I'm describing here, then the opposition has to be clear. That is what they're opposing. We've got enough of this wishy-washy, half-truth, half-belief, half-understanding. If you want to make the progress, memetics shows us that you have to make it clear. That way the opposition is clear. The goals, the ambitions of both sides are clear. If that was what was happening today, I think the argument would be different. But in the environment we live in, it's possible for it to be true. I just have a hard time believing that it's true. And maybe that's my cynicism in my optimistic overview. But either way, we've been shown something that if it isn't happening, should happen. And there will be opposition. Even if it does happen legitimately, there will be opposition. Because the industrial model that we've been living in for 100 years or 80 years, whatever it is, the industrial model tells us that power and profit is generated in a certain way. And once you put things in place, popular or not, that slow the rate of progress, wealth, power, people who have it or want it will fight against it. I know that this isn't making a whole lot of sense, and I have warned you, I am not good at this sort of thing. I'm not here with a bunch of charts and graphs showing you that, because I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if either side is just fighting to make their access to the bigger bites at the trough better. I don't know that they're just trying to stop someone else from getting what they would want to get eventually. I don't know. I don't know if maybe Donald Trump really did get into office, because his campaign when he went in the first time was exactly how he spelled it out. He did it exactly how he said he would have done it a decade ago. Before he got elected, he already told us how he was going to do it. He told us why he was going to do it that way. And he ran exactly how he told us he was going to. But I don't know that once he got there, maybe a change happened in him. Maybe he did have a Hollywood-esque redemption song that he played through. Maybe he actually did realize that the picture is bigger than he thought it was. I don't see the evidence of that, because what he's doing, if that is what happened, Mr. Trump, then you need to change your attack going forward, because it looks a lot like what we had before. It doesn't look like a redemption song like you had an awakening while you're in there. It looks like you're doing exactly what you did before. Not that I ever expect anybody to actually watch this, but that's the optimistic view with a bit of skepticism in there. I don't know what's happening, but this is what I see happening. If I had the kind of help I would really like to have, I would have documents and graphs and something more specific to pinpoint. But most of this country doesn't have that. Most of this country, when we vote politically, we don't vote because we've seen the graphs. We don't vote because we've seen the money changing hands. We vote with our gut. And this is what my gut is telling me. But even if the worst is true, we have been given an example. We've been shown something that we could do properly. We really could help the workforce in that way. We really could reverse this trickle down absurdity. It clearly hasn't worked. The whole idea behind trickle down, that's not something that just came with Reagan. Then he just coined a term, or his staff coined a term. This is how business has been done for thousands of years. Trickle down isn't just from Reagan. This has been in place for thousands of years. And we are just perfecting it, or we are at this stage of perfecting it. And we see the consequences because we have the ability to collect the data. This needs to be reversed. For better or for worse, the vast majority of people who are good at collecting wealth are bad at the ways they collect wealth and what they do with the wealth once they have it. That's humans. That's not the elite. That's humans. If I were given access to stupid wealth right now, I like to think I'd be better at it. But I'm just another human. I could be absolutely terrible at it. I'll never know, but we need to get, yes, there is blame to go around, but we need to get past that, and we need to start correcting it. From what the models tell us, we may be too late already without a concentrated, full-scale global effort. How do you get that without honesty and reversing processes right now that have been in place for thousands of years? Either way, that's what I'm seeing in 2021 here in the political atmosphere. We need to reverse this. We need to start correcting it, and we need a wide-scale recognition of it. If my optimistic view is wrong and it really is just corruption and conspiracy, then we need to recognize it. We need transparency. We need to know so that we can correct it. And somebody needs to be out there that's showing a better way to do it. We need to be interested in the people who are showing a better way to do it with transparency in ways that can be duplicated. Because a handful of people, a handful of organizations is not going to get this job done. Even if global warming is a conspiracy, we can see the deterioration in our environment no matter what. It's not being good stewards of our planet. Even if it's just a conspiracy, if that's what you believe, it's still, you have to admit, it's being a bad steward of our planet. And it's happening so that other people can be wealthy. It needs to stop, or at least we need to start reversing it. Just another random thought keeping me awake tonight.